What's poppin', guys? Let's get into NXT for April the 11th, 2023. This was an okay show. Not too much happened. So we kicked the show off with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. So the fans break out a Melo chant, and then Melo begins to quiet them down to address what happened last week with Bron Breakker. So Carmelo says it was supposed to be about respect between him and Bron, but Carmelo let his guard down and he got caught slipping. Trick and Melo both reiterate how it won't happen again. Melo goes on and understands Bron is in his feelings over the stand and deliver loss, but Bron didn't pass the torch that night. Carmelo took it. Carmelo says fans don't want Bron to be the number one any longer. They want Melo. Damn, that was a good little dig right there. Carmelo says he and Bron will be at war for a long time, which I do like that. Then Carmelo offers Bron a spot in tonight's Fatal 4-Way to determine his NXT Spring Breakin challenger in 2 weeks. So then Carmelo says he's not asking, he's demanding, because he needs to get back his. And then out comes Dragon Lee. So we know where this is going. This is typical WWE. So Lee, he congratulates Carmelo. A Dragon Lee chant breaks out. Dragon Lee understands that Carmelo wants revenge on Bron, but Lee came to NXT to fight the best, and that title proves it. He shoots and he doesn't miss. Dragon Lee knows Carmelo wants Breakker, but after the night, it'll be Dragon Lee versus Carmelo Hayes for the title at Spring Breakin. So then Carmelo tells the fans to give it up for Dragon Lee. Carmelo welcomes Lee to NXT, but warns him never to interrupt the champion. Carmelo says that Lee gets a pass because he's new, and he goes on to issue a warning for if they have a match. So then both of them are interrupted by JD McDonough, so we know where this is going again. So JD talks about troubles during Carmelo's first week as champion. JD says these two need to learn that ego is loud and confidence is quiet. JD says he doesn't need anything fancy because when the bell rings, he knows he's number one. Dragon Lee will find out tonight, and Hayes in 2 weeks at Spring Breakin. So then Carmelo cracked a leprechaun joke. Then Grayson Waller comes into the fray. Waller says that he's going to be in a Fatal 4-Way tonight. So then Waller goes on to insult everyone, says that he's winning tonight. Then a real superstar will take the title from Carmelo. Carmelo says everyone wants to be a winner, but who's going to do what it really takes? Carmelo looks around and sees a lot of thems, but there's only one him. I like that. That was the end of the segment. Pretty okay segment to start off the show, but I don't really like stuff like that. It's typical WWE. They've been doing this shit for years, so I get where they're coming from, but I typically don't like this. They could have done backstage vignettes for the contenders have Waller do like a 30-minute, my bad, a 30-second, have each of the guys do 30-second vignettes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I would have done. I don't know, but that's Shawn Michaels booking for you. You know what I'm saying? Moving on. So Kina James and Fallon Henley, they're arguing backstage about, trying to win their match and get on the same page, basically. Kiana wants Fallon to be this bitchy yeehaw girl. So, Kiana James says that she and Briggs and Jensen are just fine. They just need to get on the same page to regain the titles tonight, but they're not even close. So then Briggs, he walks in, and he then tells both Kina James and Fallon Henley Jensen doesn't want to be near either of them right now. So there's tension right there. Fine with that. So then we get a TikTok video in the NXT parking lot. Thankfully, nobody got hurt or attacked, which is good. So Tiffany Stratton, she walks up to Ruka and soon to be debuting Danny Palmer, who looks really attractive. So Tiffany, she starts to insult the girls. Typical mean girl stuff. Talking about this is her parking lot, she owns it and everything else. So I do like that. Which sets up Ruka versus Tiffany Stratton later on in the night. So I like that. First match of the night, Fallon Henley and Kina James versus Alba Fire and Isla Dawn for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire retain via the backbreaker into the Swanton Bomb for the 1-2-3. Towards the end of the match, Jensen comes out. He has Kiana's bag with him. He slides into the ring. He gives it to Fallon. She screams at him to, get out. The referee then ejects Jensen, and then that allows for Alba Fire and Isla Dawn to capitalize and win the match. So it makes sense. Also, Jensen shoved Briggs, and then he and Kiana, they walked up the ramp together. Well, no, he carried her up the ramp. So I kind of like this, but we did not see these four for the rest of the show. And it was weird as shit to me. It's like, why would you do that type of angle and not follow up on it? Like, that deserves to be followed up. I don't know what Shawn Michaels was thinking here. I really don't. I don't. Because it doesn't make any damn sense. It's like, this is a long, drawn-out story that's still continuing, and we need something more. We just do. I hope that I hope that Shawn Michaels is not going to decide to break up Briggs and Jensen. It doesn't need to happen. We've seen this too much, NXT, well, WWE in general has had this notion of breaking up tag teams for the longest, and I hate it. You don't need to do that. And I don't like Briggs and Jensen. I don't. I really don't. I despise them, but you can't break these guys up. You can't. The issue really should stem from Kina James and Fallon Henley. I mean, I don't know where this is all going in the long run. I don't. But I would assume that maybe Jensen sees the light and sides back with Josh Briggs and Fallon Henley. I don't know, man, but this is just weird that there was no follow-up for the rest of the story. I mean, for the rest of the show. Moving on. So, we got a vignette from Noam Dar, which we should have got last week. And if we're being honest, we should have got that at Stand and Deliver, if we're being honest. because most people don't know who Noam Dar is. So, Noam Dar says, that he says NXT is about to blast into the. My bad. Let me start over. So, Noam Dar says NXT is about to blast into the stratosphere because the supernova has finally arrived. Noam Dar brings a combination of swag and style. He's an elegant savage with unlimited potential. Noam Dar says NXT has a lot of fantastic superstars, but only one supernova. He opens people's eyes and takes breath away. Breaks jaws as a world-class performer who has revolutionized a whole new style around his Heritage Cup. Then he goes over the rules for the Heritage Cup, breaks it down, and what the cup will bring to NXT. So Noam Dar goes on and says he came to NXT to see what the best has to offer, so it's time to separate the sheep from the goat. And then Noam Dar wonders which of these dafties will step up. Okay. But again, this is something that we should have gotten last week and the week of Stand and Deliver. Remember, we need vignettes so we can know who you are. At least 3. But I'm fine with this either way. So, next. So, Duke Hudson, Thea Hale, and Andre Chase, they're out there giving away the MVP ceremony for Duke. So, Andre Chase praises Duke Hudson for saving the group at Stand and Deliver. He says that he was the MVP. Andre mentions how they don't always see eye to eye. He goes on and introduces Duke Hudson as Chase's MVP. So then Duke thanks Andre Chase. Duke says he doesn't like award ceremonies as he doesn't want the spotlight on himself because it's all about Chase U and not Chase U me. Duke goes on about taking Chase U to the promised land at Stand and Deliver. Duke says this was a group effort, so he just led the march to evil. Duke thanks his mentor, Andre Chase, and thanks Thea Hale. He guesses. Duke says he's now Chase U's MVP. And then Chase U students start to chant MVP. Duke leads everyone to a Chase chant until it's interrupted by Bron Breakker, who's wearing a black tank top. So Shawn Michaels continues to book his heels by just wearing all black, whether it's a black t-shirt, a black tank top, a black jacket, black glasses. It's like, bruh, stop with this shit. Come on, Shawn. Damn. We know that Braun is heel, but just wearing black doesn't make you heel. I don't know what the hell Shawn's doing. I don't know. So, Braun comes to the crowd. He interrupts. Braun brings up last week, and Andre Chase says he's interrupting something important. Braun says with good reason, which I agree, because that was going nowhere. So Braun goes on about tonight's Fatal 4-Way, says that he's finally realized that the NXT title is a curse on his career, and he doesn't need any of these scumbags. These scumbag fans any longer. I love that line. Braun says we're going to see a side of him we've never seen before. Fans chant, "You suck." Braun gives Duke his spot in the Fatal 4-Way. They shake hands. So Braun attempts to leave, and he turns around and he spears Andre Chase with a spear. Bron attempts to go for Duke, but he retreats with the MVP trophy. Thea heel checks on Andre Chase. Bron then grabs the KC flag. He breaks it, and then he throws it over Andre Chase. I like this. This is pretty cool. Makes sense because that segment was going nowhere. Nowhere real fast. So, kudos for Bron for breaking that. Next, we got a fantastic vignette for Gigi Dolan. I absolutely love this. This was fantastic shit by Shawn Michaels. This was great. So, Gigi, she's outside of the rundown house she grew up in with her brother. She talks about how her rough childhood, and how she ran away and didn't look back as soon as she could. Gigi says that she's human and just wants to be loved, and JC Jane knew this when she attacked her. Gigi says JC broke her heart and her face, but will never break her will. Gigi says, like the rose inked on her arm, her story started out dark and ugly, but bloomed into something beautiful. I absolutely love this. This was fantastic stuff here. Absolutely fantastic. I love this. Great stuff. So, we see footage earlier on in the day from the anonymous NXT account. So, pretty deadly. They were outside the Performance Center. They were attacked by Stax and Tony D. They were attacked with a crowbar. And they tossed Kit Wilson into the trunk. And then they drove away. Really good stuff here. That was great. Next, Eddie Thorpe versus Javier Bernal. Eddie Thorpe wins. He got Eddie, and Eddie can't. The only reason why he got that was because of Eddie Guerrero. That's the main reason. Come on. I really do wish that they would have bought the rights so that way Eddie could, that way Carl Fredericks could have his name back and he probably would be more over. Carl Fredericks is okay. He wins via the butterfly suplex. He's okay. I don't know, man. He's all right. Also, Damien Kemp was looking on as well in the match. So he and Thorpe, they stared each other down for a little bit. Okay. So Gallus, they're backstage. They're interrupted by Tank Ledger's photo shoot earlier in the day. So Tank Ledger, he says that he's been training and will be ready to debut in a few weeks. Gallus wants to move that debut up to tonight. The Schism, they all show up. So that's great. So I'm glad that the Grizzly Young Vets are still there because last week there was a report they asked for their release. So I guess they got their release denied. So that was great. I'm glad they're still there. So Gallus... the Schism, they show up. They have words with Gallus telling them to start a fight with someone who brings a challenge. Joe Gacy says that the Schism has been kept out of the tag title chase, and they have more words between both sides to set up a match. Next, Tiffany Stratton versus Sol Ruca. Tiffany Stratton wins via the moonsault. I love my girl. Love it. She's great. So, Andre Chase is backstage. He's recovering from a spear. Duke warms up for the main event. Duke thanks Andre Chase for taking one for the team earlier, so Duke can win the night and be the first one to bring home gold to Chase U. Next, the Creed brothers, they're backstage with Kina Mackenzie Mitchell along with Ivy Nile. So Ivy talks about how she took care of her issue with Tatum Paxley last week, and now the Diamond Mine's back together, just the three of them, which is great. The Creeds are about to go on about how they focus on Gallus and the NXT tag titles, and they'll be watching tonight's match. Tiffany Stratton walks up and brags about her win and wonders why she's not the number one contender. And then she then shoos Mackenzie Mitchell away when she says Tiffany Epiphany. I love Tiffany Stratton. I do. I love my girl. I do. Tiffany Stratton is a star in the making. She's a star in the making. Her and Cora Jade. Those are my two girls that I love. I love them. They're great heels. Great heels. Speaking of Cora Jade, segue. So Cora Jade, she's in the ring. She says that she returned last week to the NXT, to find the NXT's women's division in disarray. She then addresses Zoe Stark first and gives her praise in her in-ring work, but she'll always be the challenger, never the champion, which is true. She then brings up Roxanne Perez next, saying that she put Roxanne Perez on the map the second she hit her with the tag title last year. So Jade, she's not going to bring up what happened with what Perez went through because it's real. But how long will Perez use this as her crutch? Then Cora Jade says Perez disproves some of us are better with pressure than others. So then she brings up Gigi Dolan next, and she's surprised that she made it away from toxic attraction. And she says she was this close to grabbing the title, but let's get one thing straight. The title has Cora Jade's name on it. So Cora goes on about Tiffany Stratton and says she runs this place, not Tiffany. Jade brings up weird Lyra Valkyrie next, and she pops her up, attacking anything with a pulse but having no fear in the ladder match. But she should just fear Cora Jade if she fears anyone here. So Cora brings up the NXT Women's Champion, Indy Hartwell. Cora Jade says Indy, she knocks Indy for taking so long to win a title. She says this isn't Indy's fairy tale, it's Jade's NXT, and she's the superhero. So then Lyra Valkyria, she interrupts. She wonders if Jade is just saying all this because the NXT women's locker room has stepped up in Jade's absence, or if she's jealous after watching Finn and deliver. And then the fans chant Cora's jealous. So Lyra warns Cora Jade she'll rip Cora Jade's eyes out if she goes for the title. Then Cora Jade slaps Lyra Valkyria. And then Lyra Valkyria does a couple of kicks to take Jade out. And then they stare each other down. So I like this. This makes, honestly, the most sense here. This is great. Great heel heat here. A little long with the promo, but it made sense in the end. It just shows you that the NXT women's division is stacked, and I like it. We've got to get the title off of Indy Hartwell, though, for real. Hopefully next week they'll do like a number one contenders match to see who's going to face Indy Hartwell at Spring Breakin, and hopefully she can lose it by then, because we can't have her be champion by NXT. What is it? It's not Roadblock. I forgot what it's called again. No, my bad. NXT Battleground. So yeah, NXT Battleground. And that's in late May. So no, we can't have our champion for over a month. No, we can't do that. She's got to lose. Like, she needs to lose now. Moving on. So, next, Wesley, he's backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell, asking about how he stays so sharp. Wesley talks about the chip on her shoulder, but then Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey, they interrupt. That was great. So they have a couple of words with Wesley, and Charlie Dempsey asks how Lee plans to fly around the ring with torn ligaments, and all he can do is tap out. Wesley says if they want a shot, just ask. He's down and only has one goal, to keep the title. So I like this. This is great. This makes sense. Next, Von Wagner versus Ilja Dragunov. Ilja Dragunov wins via the Torpedo Moscow. So, finally, Robert Stone is free of the dead weight that is Von Wagner. So, he'll probably go on to the main roster and probably manage Chelsea Green. I don't know. But it seems like that's what they're going to do with Mr. Stone. Then, post-match, we go from shit to more shit. That is Dijak. Oh, my God. So, he comes out with his regular attire. You know, the dark sunglasses, the trench coat, black trench coat. So, Dijak enters the ring and faces off with Ilja. So, Dijak says, if pain makes Ilja feel alive, that's great because he's going to make Ilja feel immortal. So, you know, we're setting up a program between those two. And I know Ilja probably wants to tear his hair out for this shit. Because I know I would. To face Von Wagner and then now to face boring-ass Dijak, what the hell is going on? Tank Ledger, he's backstage talking to Hank Walker, who gave him some words of encouragement. Tank wasn't supposed to debut for a few weeks, but he's ready to show a top guy like Joe Coffey what he's all about. That leads us to Tank Ledger versus Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey wins via 2 discus clotheslines. So then, post-match, the Schism and the Creed Brothers, they end up brawling with Gallus. So then we're basically going to get like another triple threat. I essentially hate this. Hopefully next week it'll be the Creed Brothers versus Schism. The winners of that will face Gallus. That's what we need to do. We need number one contenders. We need a tag team versus tag team. That's all we need. 2 teams. 1-on-1. Moving on. So Tony D and Stax, they're backstage laughing about how Operation Crowbar went on Pretty Deadly and how it was a success. So Roxanne Perez, she walks by. They stop to see how she's doing. She says she needed a break after Stand and Deliver, but she's back and ready to win her title. Her title back. She also comments on recent happenings with Zoe Stark and others. So Tony D says if she ever needs backup, and then Zoe Stark interrupts and she mocks Roxanne Perez. Roxanne says Zoe is the perfect example of why people aren't open and honest about their anxiety. Then Roxanne says to Stark she doesn't get it and she doesn't try to understand it. Perez says she says that she has the strength to beat Zoe Stark next week. And then Roxanne Perez fist bumps Tony D and Stax. And then Tony D and Staggs, they attempt to ask Zoe start something, but pretty deadly, they attack them and beat them down. They were wearing some ridiculous outfits. Then the main event, the Fatal 4-Way. Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough versus Duke Hudson versus Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller wins. And then post-match, him and Carmelo Hayes, they stare each other down, and then we go off the air. So, overall, it was a pretty okay show. Could have been better in some places, in some spots of the show. Overall, it was good. What did you guys think? Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.